Before streaming, before television, there were the movie serials. These were, as the name suggests, serialized narratives told over the course of multiple film installments or episodes. It incentivized audiences to keep coming back to the theater to get the whole story. They were known for fast-paced action and dazzling stunts, content over character development. In the silent era, crime thrillers and adventure tales were among the most popular. Borrowing from the conventions of the pulp magazines, they would go on to embrace the genres of fantasy, science fiction, and superheroes long before mainstream films did. Late 20th century franchises such as James Bond, Star Wars, and Indiana Jones took inspiration from the early film serials. Today, I want to look at a French film serial that became part of a cultural phenomenon across multiple media, thrilling audiences with the exploits of a moralist criminal mastermind. This is 100-Year-Old Movies. Fantômas is a 5-episode French crime serial that ran from May 1913 to July of 1914. And here is where I apologize for not being able to pronounce French names and words correctly. Here we go. They were directed by Louis Villiard and starred René Navarre, Edmond Braun, and Georges Melchior. Based on the crime fiction novels written by the team of Marcel Alain and Pierre Sylvestre, the mysterious title character represents a transition between the Gothic villain of early literature and the supercriminal of 20th century media. Before I get started, I want to point out that I watched this on the Kino Classics Blu-ray edition released by Kino Lorber. It's a 4K restoration by Gaumont and Le Centre National du Cinéma in collaboration with Cinémathèque Française. It features an audio commentary by film historian David Collot, which was incredibly helpful and informative to me for making this video. Now, this was not the first film serial. We know of examples going back to 1910. Literary detective characters like Sherlock Holmes had also become popular around the world. The inevitable inversion caught on as well. Stories about supercriminals. The gentleman thief Arsène Lupin, created by French author Maurice Leblanc, was introduced in 1905 and matched his wits against Holmes a year later in the magazine story Sherlock Holmes Arrives Too Late. That story became the basis for a German film serial in 1910. These were done without the permission or approval of Sherlock Holmes' creator, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. If the name Lupin sounds familiar to modern audiences, that's because in the late 60s, the Japanese manga artist Monkey Punch created a series following the adventures of his descendant, Lupin III, who remains popular in anime to this day. Lupin III has even gone up against Fantômas III in some of his stories. Fantômas was modeled after Lupin, but where Lupin was a gentleman thief, Fantômas was a maniacal killer who seemed to commit his crimes simply for the sake of causing terror. His unabashed villainy made the character a sensation. It's interesting to think about why that is. Within originally moral and restrained society, it allows people to have an outlet. They watch this guy break all the rules and get away with it. That's cathartic. Also, it's just plain fun to root for the guy who outsmarts the authorities at every turn. Fantômas was a champion of anarchists, inspiration to surrealists, and entertaining to all. With that in mind, let's get into our first episode, In the Shadow of the Guillotine. Before the story begins, we get a look at the actor, René Navarre, who plays Fantômas, in the various disguises he'll be wearing in this episode. He is almost always seen in disguise. This was not an original concept, as it was a characteristic of Lupin, who is, after all, the basis for Fantômas. And it's the primary tactic he uses for carrying out his schemes. Part of how he generates terror and eludes authorities is that he could be anyone, anywhere, at any time. Due to the lack of any real character development or individual personality, what Fantômas really suggests through his countless disguises is that he is a symbolic stand-in or representation of all criminals, perhaps even the manifestation of the spirit of crime itself. In the serial, we, the audience, always know who Fantômas is and what he's up to. That wasn't always the case in the source material, but is very helpful for watching these films and understanding what's going on. I must also say that the makeup for his disguises is really good. Without context and forewarning, I wouldn't be able to tell some of these were the same man. In real life, though, the disguises didn't help the actor, René Navarre, from getting recognized in public. Some fans had a hard time distinguishing character from performer and responded as if he were the criminal he portrays. This did cause some real-life complications for the actor. But back to the film. His first criminal act, we see, is more in line with the gentleman thief persona than the far more deadly plots he'll get into later. At a Paris hotel, he steals jewelry off a wealthy heiress, along with an envelope containing a hefty sum of cash. Here, he appears sophisticated and charming, handing his victim his business card, which appears to be blank. Only later does the ink appear, and the heiress discovers that her attacker was none other than the notorious supercriminal Fantômas. He escapes by exchanging his disguise for the bellhop's uniform while in the elevator. An inspector named Juve, representing the law as the main antagonist of Fantômas, soon arrives to interview the heiress. Back at Juve's office, we meet the next ongoing character in the series, a young idealistic journalist named Fandor. It seems the authors of the Fantômas books would actually split the chapters up using these characters' perspectives, one writing the chapters for the inspector, the other writing the chapters for the journalist. There's a report of a missing person named Lord Beltham, and this is troubling Fandor. Juve suspects Fantômas. Juve pays a visit to the missing man's wife, Lady Beltham, played by Renée Carl. But what he doesn't know is that she's already an accomplice of Fantômas. Juve finds a hat inscribed with the name Gurn. With Lady Beltham's address book, he finds Gurn's apartment, where he discovers the body of the missing man hidden in a trunk. As we already knew, Gurn is in fact Fantômas in disguise. As he tries to escape in the night from Lady Beltham's house, Juve catches him. In his alias as Gurn, Fantômas is sentenced to death for his crimes. Distressed by this news, Lady Beltham plots to help him escape, and starts by bribing a prison guard into passing him a note. Why is Lady Beltham assisting the man who killed her husband? Why did he kill her husband in the first place? Is there any connection between this crime and the robbery of the heiress at the beginning of the episode? Doesn't seem so. The serial is very short on exposition. Due to the popularity of the stories, the director, Feuillade, considered the audience already familiar with the stories, so he didn't go out of his way to explain too much. This makes the serial almost a companion to the books rather than just an adaptation. But the artistry of these films lies in the action presented, not the comprehension of the narrative. So you just kinda have to go with it. Lady Beltham arranges for the guard to sneak Fantômas out of the prison so she can meet with him. And the guard actually signs on for this terrible idea. Either he's that dumb or the money is that good. I'm leaning towards dumb because at no point does he question the motives of this lady wanting to meet privately with her husband's murderer. Meanwhile, the crimes of Fantômas are getting dramatized on the stage. That may sound absurd, but it wasn't at the time, especially in the morbid theatrics of France's famous Grand Guignol, where they really did stuff like this. Lady Beltham invites the actor playing Fantômas in the play to meet her in costume at the same time the guard is bringing over the real Fantômas. I think you can see where this is going. And almost as like in a stage play, one performer leaves in one direction and another enters from the other direction. She drugs the actor's tea. He gets all woozy. The guards come back and take away the actor instead of the real Fantômas. So in the morning, he will take Fantômas' place at the guillotine. The mad criminal delights in the grim turn of events that have led to his freedom and the death of an innocent man. But Juve discovers the switch, saving the actor. Better luck next time, Juve, because until you catch him, Fantômas will continue to haunt you. On to episode 2, Juve versus Fantômas. Introducing Fantômas' most frequent and menacing look, the Man in Black, not Johnny Cash. This time, Juve gets to wear a disguise too. Into the streets. Follow that car. I must say, in all seriousness, when looking at these pre-World War I films from Europe, there is, to me, a melancholy sense of how much things are about to change. The loss and hardships in the decades to follow this, which they had no idea about at the time, and it's about to hit them. It's a bit eerie. Back on the trail, our boys split up. This woman Fandor follows is called a streetwalker, and not because she's walking down the street. All aboard? Are those just extras in the back there? Nope. It looks like they're up to something. Fandor might be in more trouble than he suspects. Hey, watch the hands, Gramps. In silent films, body language tells us everything. For instance, what are these guys planning? Nice model shot. Goons, go into action! I'm betting this was legit dangerous. Disconnecting the cars doesn't get much more classic than that. More goons! A lot more goons. Fantômas has got himself some henchmen this time around. Here's a scene straight out of a comic book. Looks like they got Fandor too. Last one off is a moldy baguette! Whew! At least that's over with. Do you think we should do something about the, Oh, no! There were no survivors. So it turns out the guy the gang robbed owns a winery. Cut to the winery. A shootout among the wine barrels. Hopefully there are no hobbits hiding in those. French audiences would have recognized this as the wine depot at Bercy. The use of real locations like this in the street scenes helps sell to viewers the idea that Fantômas could exist in their world. Oops! Fandor and Juve were shooting at each other. Why do I feel like I remember playing this game at the arcade? Where there's smoke, there's fire. Get in there. I don't care what you smell. Our heroes slowly roll away to safety. Or possibly they'll drown, but I don't think we're that lucky. Dried off, our heroes head to a nightclub. And don't they just run into the girl from the train? Of all the gin joints in all the towns of all the world. Her date for the evening is too drunk to even notice her leaving. She leads them right to Fantômas. Don't want to make a scene. Let's take this outside. Fantômas just needs to grab his coat. They got him! All their hard detective work has finally paid off when they randomly spot him in a club while they were off duty. Well, he won't be getting away this... Oh, never mind. Fantômas always has a trick up his sleeves. In this case, The trick was fake arms. Honestly, I didn't see that one coming. It gave me a good laugh the first time I saw this. Oh, now Fantômas is just rubbing it in. And he's back at the nightclub. Cheers. Remember Lady Beltham from the last episode? The one who helped Fantômas kill her husband and escape prison? She's hiding out with nuns now. I guess she feels bad about all that stuff. But when he calls, she comes running. Did you miss me? She agrees to meet him every Wednesday. The film doesn't say why, so use your imagination. This nocturnal activity in the abandoned home leads to speculation that the place is haunted. Our heroes investigate. Noticing the heating vent, they go down into the basement and climb up the furnace in order to observe the room unnoticed. When Lady Beltham and Fantômas arrive, they are watched secretly by the detective and the journalist. A good bit of comedy here as Fantômas, feeling the draft, keeps closing the vent on them. Juve overhears Fantômas plotting to assassinate him. That seems suspicious. Oh well. A few nights later, Juve is preparing for his death. Or rather, preparing to avoid it. Sleepwear by Clive Barker. Seriously, where did they come up with this? I know Fandor is hiding there to wait for the assassination attempt, but I like to think that this is just something they do every night. Fantômas better hurry up and get here. I'm going to be late for the Iron Maiden concert. Now to pretend to be casually sleeping. The assassin arrives. Fandor, is that you? Oh no, it's a spike-resistant snake! Must pretend to fight! His friend might be dying, but Fandor will be damned if the room isn't tidy. Hurry! The snake's getting away in that car! Back at the abandoned home the next day, Fantômas takes a stroll through the garden. You ever get the feeling you're being watched? Well, the jig is up. Time to set the traps. It's like Home Alone, except more lethal. Search the house. There he is! Quick, this way! Fantômas runs to the basement. There seems to be no way out. But Fantômas is never without a plan. Using this bottle, he hides in the cistern. Will they find him? It's too dark to see the man dressed in black under the water, but they can hear breathing, so he must be there somewhere. Thinking he might be hiding in the furnace, like they had, they tried to smoke him out. Alright, come out, Fantômas. It's the snake! How did the snake get in the furnace? Well, maybe it's Fantômas in disguise. Better kill it just to be sure. So they actually do kill the snake for real in the film, I'm sad to say. There's a graphic close-up of it dying. I will not be showing that here. Fantômas makes his escape. This time getting away isn't enough for him. It's time to put an end to his pursuers for good. And there, with the explosive climax to episode 2, is where we'll end things for this video. Yes, in the tradition of the serials, I'm making this a two-parter. Also, there's just that much material to cover. And I do hope you'll come back to my channel for Killer Serials Part 2, where I will discuss the 3rd through 5th episodes and discuss the legacy of Fantômas in cinema. I'm Movie Cyclops. Thank you for watching this video and supporting my endless fascination with movie history. If you have feedback, please share that with me in the comments. I always appreciate reading messages related to my work and the movies I discuss. If you like, you can now follow my Instagram, Movie Cyclops, where I post additional material. More information in the description below.